The ride home after Daniel Hale disappeared into the rainy night felt like a dream Elena didn't remember falling into. She held the card in her lap like it might vanish if she blinked too hard. Her fingers traced the smooth edges over and over, again, as if memorizing its shape would somehow make it more real. The name, Daniel Hale, looked elegant in raised silver print. Simple, powerful. The kind of card you saw in movies, not something handed to you on a bus when your feet hurt and your coat still smelled like fried grease from a double shift. She couldn't stop replaying his words in her head. I like hiring people who don't give up easily. The bus turned a corner. Streetlights passed over her face in soft yellow bursts. Her reflection in the window looked unfamiliar, like someone from another version of her life, one where miracle cards like this showed up and strangers didn't look at her like she was just a tired, broke waitress with a kid to feed. By the time she got off near her building, a 3-story brown brick walk-up that always smelled faintly of mildew and boiled cabbage, the rain had softened to a whisper. She pulled her coat tighter and hurried up the broken front steps, glancing at the flickering hallway light above. Mr. Delgado on the first floor nodded to her silently from behind his cracked door. He always stayed up late, listening to old radio shows. She let herself into the apartment as quietly as possible. Mason was asleep on the couch, curled up under his dinosaur blanket, mouth slightly open. The babysitter, Cassie, was scrolling her phone. He was good, Cassie said, standing and grabbing her hoodie. Didn't even fuss. I gave him the leftover mac and cheese like you said. Thanks, Elena said. She dug into her wallet and pulled out the few crumpled bills she had left. It's not much, but... It's fine, Cassie said, waving her off. Just get some rest. You look like hell, girl. Elena smiled weakly and nodded. Once the door closed behind Cassie, she leaned against it and sighed. She slipped off her shoes and knelt beside Mason, brushing the hair from his forehead. He murmured in his sleep and turned over. She took the card from her coat and placed it gently on the small kitchen table under the flickering overhead light. It didn't belong in this apartment. It looked too clean, too confident, too sure of itself. Everything around it, chipped counter edges, dishes in the sink, the hum of the barely working fridge, felt like it came from another world. But it was real. She saw his face again, calm, unreadable, but kind. She remembered the way he didn't flinch when she fell asleep on him, how he didn't laugh or pull away or roll his eyes, how he saw her. Elena barely slept that night. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thoughts turning in wide, slow circles. What kind of job could a man like Daniel Hale offer her? What did someone like him see in someone like her? What if it was a trick? What if he was serious? And what if she said no? Would she regret it forever? She looked at Mason's little chest rising and falling beside her. He always ended up in her bed when it got too cold. His cheek was pressed to the pillow, his arms curled in close. Like a kitten, she whispered, "I'm going." She didn't know if she was promising him or herself. The next morning came gray and uncertain. Elena stood in front of the mirror wearing the only clean blouse she had that didn't have a coffee stain on it. It was white, sort of, at least near the collar. She pressed it as flat as she could with her old iron, trying not to think about how thin the fabric looked in the light. She pulled her hair into a neat low bun, dabbed some concealer under her eyes, and found a pair of black pants that still fit. Her shoes were another story. She chose the ones with the least damage and buffed the toes with a wet paper towel. Before she left, she kissed Mason's forehead. "I'll be back soon, okay? Be good for Cassie." He stirred, smiled in his sleep, and didn't wake up. Elena held the card tightly as she took the bus downtown, her fingers damp with nervous sweat. She kept looking at the address again and again. Hale Industries Tower, 1187 Lexington. She knew the building. Everyone in the city did. It was a sleek glass monolith that rose into the skyline like it owned the weather. When she was a kid, she used to ride past it with her mom and make up stories about what rich people did up there. Now, she was walking through the enormous rotating doors. Her breath caught as soon as she stepped into the lobby. Marble floors gleamed like mirrors. A giant chandelier made of curved glass spirals hung above, her like a frozen galaxy. Receptionists in tailored suits sat behind a desk that looked like it had been carved from stone. She almost turned around, but then she heard her son's voice in her head. "You can do it, Mama." She stepped forward. The woman at the front desk looked up. "Can I help you?" "Yes," Elena said, her voice shaky but clear. "I have a meeting with Mr. Daniel Hale." The woman's eyebrows lifted just slightly. "Do you have an appointment?" "He gave me this." Elena handed over the card like it was a golden ticket. The woman scanned it, then picked up the phone. "One moment, please." Elena waited, trying not to wring her hands. After a few seconds, the receptionist nodded. "You can take the elevator to the 42nd floor. Mr. Hale is expecting you." Elena swallowed. "Thank you." She rode the elevator alone, her ears popping, as the numbers climbed higher. The floor beneath her felt like it belonged to someone else's story. When the doors opened, it was into a quiet hallway lined with abstract art and glass walls that revealed a city so high up it made her dizzy. Then she saw him. Daniel Hale stood at the far end of the hallway, talking to a man in a gray suit. When he spotted her, he excused himself and walked toward her, calm and smooth like always. "Miss Morris," he said. "You came." She didn't know what to say. "Of course, thank you for inviting me." He nodded. "Come with me." She followed him into his office, floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture, shelves lined with books and awards and photographs. He gestured for her to sit across from him. "You work at a diner," he said, almost like a question. "Yes." "You have a son?" "Yes." "You're on time." She blinked. "I always try to be." He studied her for a long moment, as if weighing her soul in silence. Then he leaned back and said, "I'm looking for a new executive assistant. Someone who can manage calendars, handle pressure, deal with people, and stay organized. The pay is good. Benefits, healthcare, childcare reimbursement. I don't care if you don't have a business degree. I care if you're smart and tough and willing to learn." She stared at him. "You want to hire me? Based on what? A nap on your shoulder?" He smiled faintly. "Based on how tired you looked and how much you kept going anyway." Her throat tightened. She felt tears threaten, but blinked them back. "I don't know everything," he added. "But I know what survival looks like, and I know grit when I see it." Elena whispered, "I'll work hard, I promise. I believe you." And just like that, the world tilted.